Good to see you again. Welcome to Block 1, Solving Problems with Addition and Subtraction. Lesson 4. I'll share my screen. So, in your previous lesson, you learned how to use formal methods for the addition of integers. In today's lesson, we're going to focus on using formal methods for the addition of decimals. Before we start, I want to ask you for a favor. Like the videos, share the videos, subscribe to the channel to help us um, meet our mission or fulfill our mission of educating children around the world who cannot afford high quality private education. All right. Before we commence to the main lesson, I would like you to do these retrieval practice questions in 4 minutes. Assuming you've paused the video and you've worked through these questions, here are the answers. Let's discuss them. So here you're asked, which column addition would you use to work out 144 plus 87? Now, take note, for using the formal method for addition, you must make sure that the place values line up. So the place values must be in the correct location. So this is the correct one because 7 is 7 ones, which must correspond with the 4 ones in 144. Here you ask how many pennies are there in £1? There are 100 pennies in £1. Then here you ask to convert the amount of money from pounds to pence. Of course, this should be 185 pence and this should be 207 pence. All right, let's do some new learning. If you were asked to add these, one thing you need to know is decimal addition is not very much different from integer addition that we did in our previous lesson. We just need to make sure that the place values line up, okay? The place values are in their correct position in the column method. So, and that's what it should look like. So you have 6 tenths plus 7 tenths, which will be 13 tenths. So we can exchange 10 tenths for 1 1, okay, 1 ones, okay, and then we'll write it like that. So now 2 add 6 will give us 8 plus the 1, that's 9. True or false, 2.4 plus 3.6 will be 5.10 or 5.10, the way some people call it, yeah, it's 5.10. Well, if we use our method, we'll see that it's false. But why? If we think about it, using our place value counters, we have 2 ones and 4 tenths. And then we have 5 ones and 10 tenths. And 6 tenths. Now, if we group these, we'll see that we have, more than. So if we add 4 and the 6, we have 10 tenths, which should be able to give us 1 1 in the place value system. So now we have 6 ones. So that should be the correct answer, not 5.10. All right, so what we've learned so far is making sure that for you to do your addition, it is similar to doing the column, for doing the formal method of adding integers. Make sure that the place values line up, okay? So pause the video and answer questions 1 and 2. You should be able to do it in 4 minutes, I think. But you can take longer if you want to. All right, assuming you've paused the video and you've answered the questions, here are the answers. So here you're asked, tick the calculations that are correct. So here, you should be able to spot the ones that are correct by using your column method, your formal method of addition. Next one, pause the video and answer questions 3 and 4 in 4 minutes. All right. Assuming you've paused the video and you've answered questions 3 and 4, here are the answers. So here we have, you were asked to tick the calculations that are correct. Of course, you know you should use your formal method to check that these are correct. And you can see we've used the formal method to add these. So I'll just talk about this one. So 4 add 2, 4 hundredths plus 2 hundredths will give us 6 hundredths. 0 tenths plus 7 tenths will give us 7, and then that's 8. But here we had to do some exchange. So here we have 11 hundredths. We can exchange 10 hundredths for 1 tenth. Okay, so that's why you have the 1 there. But when you add 7 tenths and 3 tenths, you'll have 10 tenths plus the 1 10 that you have here, the 1 tenth, that's 11 tenths. So you're going to have to exchange that for 1 1. Yeah. So this is 9 plus that one you exchanged. That's now 10. So you're now going to exchange the 10 ones for 1 10. Yeah. That will be 0 because you no longer have 0 ones. And then that will now be 8. Okay. Because 5 plus 2 is 7 plus the 1 is 8. Pause the video and answer questions 5 and 6 in 4 minutes. All right, assuming you've paused the video and you've answered question 5 and 6, here are the answers. Let's discuss them. So here you're asked, which column addition could you use to calculate 4.5 plus 7? Now remember, we said you must make sure the place values are correctly aligned. They're correctly lined up. So these are the two that we can use. And then you were asked to use the column method to work out these calculations. So by now, you should know how to do them. So check your work, mark them, review it. If you got anything wrong, just go through it again, thinking about how we use our place value system to do our exchange as we add from right to left. All right, let's do some new learning. Sometimes we do have questions where the numbers are given to us in the questions are given to us in words, and then we just have to deduce or figure out how to pull the numbers out of the question and make use of them. So here we asked, work out the value of the expression when A is 7.83 and B is 16.67. Now, here is what they want you to work out. So what we do is we substitute this value here in place of A, and we substitute this value here in place of B. Now, we use our formal method to add them. Okay, and that gives us this answer. Okay. Here is another one. Here you're given in words, you're told use the price list to find the total cost of a sandwich, a packet of crisps, and a coffee, right? Now, take a look. The first thing we need to do is we need to, again, extract the information we need before we do our calculation. So we need a sandwich. We need a packet of crisps here, 79 pence. And we need a coffee, which is £1.49. So we have to add these. But how would you do this? Because you can see that they are in different units. So one thing you need to know is whenever you're working on a problem and you see that they're in different units, it's helpful for you to make them the same units. So in this case, I've decided to convert the 79 pence to pounds. So that will be 0.79 pounds. So you see now they are all of the same unit, and we can add them using our column method, our formal method. So here we'll have 23 hundredths. So we can exchange 20 hundredths for 2 tenths. That's why we write it here. Now this one will give us, okay, by the time we finish adding this, so 11 plus that 15 plus the 2 we carry, that's 17 tenths. So we can exchange 10 tenths for 1 1. Yeah, for 1 in the place value of 1, and then we're left with 7 tenths. So now we have 2 add 1 plus the 1 that we exchanged, that is now 4. So the cost is £4.73. All right, it's now time for you to pause and answer question 7 in 4 minutes. So remember the word we use, substitution. So don't get confused seeing letters. You just substitute the numbers for the letters. Assuming you've worked through that, here are the answers. Okay, you can mark your work and celebrate your success. Well done. Pause the video and answer question 8 in 3 minutes. You can take longer if you want. All right. Assuming you've paused the video and you've worked through this, here are the answers. All right. Mark your work and celebrate your success. Pause the video and answer question 9 in... You should be able to do this in 4 minutes. All right, I'm sure you haven't forgotten your decimals or how to convert some fractions to decimals. You know these fractions by now. So to give you a hint, that's 0.25. That's 0.8. Yeah, remember 1/5 is 0.2, so 4/5 is 0.8. That's 0.75. Okay, and this will be 1.27. Okay, so I've given you hints. So pause the video and answer the questions. All right, assuming you've paused the video and you've answered the questions, here are the answers. So well done. I'm sure you did very well. So mark your work and celebrate your success. And that brings us to the end of the lesson. So what we've learned so far is that you can use formal methods to add decimal numbers. It is exactly the same approach with the way you would add integers. So you start with the place value from the right, and then you do your exchange if you have excess values above what you need for the columns on the right, and then you do your exchange as you move towards the left. All right, until next time, take care and bye-bye.